All right. How's everybody doing out there in YouTube land? Let's say you want to go out in the garage, get some work done. It's colder out, and you go to light this guy, and it won't light, and it happens to be your wick. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change it and all that good stuff. As always, make sure you're being safe and careful, proper ventilations, follow your owner's manual, and all of that good stuff. So just make sure you're being safe and careful. All right, so this one here is the one I'm going to be changing this on. Everyone's going to be different. So you want to look for that. Open this little door. Right inside here is your wick, where your wick should be. But before we jump in and taking everything apart, right there it reads full, and why would it not be full? But we're going to go ahead and siphon everything out of here. Alright, so this is a little siphoner. It's only a couple of dollars, well worth it. I'm just going to siphon everything into there. And I also use this to put everything into the kerosene heater instead of making a mess everywhere. You'll have a little bit dripping around, but not a whole lot. A lot better than making a mess. Alright, we went ahead and got just about everything siphoned out of here with that little siphoner. As always, make sure you have one of these sitting by. Definitely good to have. And you can be the judge of this. That's a little loud there. But you can be the judge of this, but I just lift that little gate up, and this is what I use to light them. They come with the igniters, a little coil that sits inside there, and it goes up against the wick and so forth like that. But a lot of times the batteries will get corroded and so forth like that. So I just use one of the long lighters. You be the judge of that and all that good stuff. So just make sure you're using your common sense the good Lord gave you and being safe and careful. Once again, this is a particular model I have, and I'll show you the other things to look for to identify what wick you do need. This here may help you as well to identify what wick you need. The number in the front that I just showed you is the only one I needed to pull mine up, but these are some other identification things that may help you out. Here's your batteries. Like I said, a lot of times they get corroded and so forth, go bad and all that. So all right, if you have it in the front here, look off to your left hand side. This little thing over here is your serial number, so that may help you as well. But this is the only numbers that I needed for mine. A lot of times you can pick them up at your hardware store. I ordered this particular one here online, so there's that in bright pink nevertheless. Alright, so you're going to have this little screw here. These things here will pop right out, and then you'll have these little clips here, and you'll be able to pop everything out. So we're going to go ahead and get that taken care of. Alright, got my little tool. Set those there. Take that off. On some of them you may need to take everything off, other ones may be set up differently. This is just how I've done this one here in the past, and it worked just fine, so we'll go ahead and do that. Set this off to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and take everything down and get it right down to here. All that good stuff. Alright, so you more than likely won't have to take off your whole cage. Stuff like that looks like a big old giant bird cage and so forth like that. You shouldn't have to take that off, but I like removing it, give me a little bit more room to work with. The little things, you got 3 of them down here. unscrew those, and everything is going to pop right up and you'll be able to get to what you need to. But I like removing it, give me a little bit more room. We'll go ahead and take this off. Alright, so here's a company that we ordered it from. And here's your Wick number. And this gives different models right here that it fits. And we're going to jump over here real quick. 230. The very first one in the line, 2300. So this one does have 2 zeros on there, but everything else looks the same. It looks much similar to the last time I put one on, so that is more than likely going to work, and we're about to find out. And all right, I just want to explain to you real quick before we start tearing into the Wick. The batteries here are not corroded. Everything's good with the wires and so forth. And I just want to show to you how this works. Here's your little igniter. Your Wick sits in here. And here's your button you push down to start your igniter. You press over there and see how that glows like that. That's how you light your Wick. So if you ever need to replace it, because yours isn't working, it sits right inside here. So very easy to get to and stuff like that. If you feel more comfortable doing it that way, that's completely understandable. All right, once you get everything taken apart, you've got 3 screws to take this little piece off here. 1, 2, 3. You lift this up, set it out of the way, and I'm going to use an old oil container. If you don't have one, a good plastic trash bag to set it in so it doesn't drip everywhere. Even though we did drain all the kerosene out of there, much as we could, the Wick still is going to be wet. And if you have an air hose, it's a good idea. You got to take it apart to go ahead and clean it. And if you don't have one, not a problem. Just use old grease rag. As soon as you get this plate out of the way, you're going to have these little things here called wing nuts. There's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take those out, and this whole thing should lift right up. It's been a while, so I got to refresh my own memory as well, but everything should lift right up. Alright, so everything slid right out after you take the 4 wing nuts out. And our Wick sits right inside here. And you just kind of peel it back. And you can see how it hooks into the little teeth. You go ahead and keep on popping them apart. See this one here? That there will line up into here. It's very important to get those to line up right, so that way when you're adjusting your Wick, they can go up and down. So that is very important. Alright guys, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but see how wide that is? It is having trouble fitting in this slot here. I'm not really sure why, so I would definitely keep that in mind. And like I said, it's been a while since I changed this one. The last one that I got, I had to go ahead and use my circular sander to sand these down so they would properly fit in there. I'm not sure the reason to that, so just keep that in mind. It's not a deal breaker, it's just going to slow the process down a little bit. It's been a few years since I've had to change this, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Alright, so I got this sitting on my workbench. I removed all the kerosene stuff so that way we don't set anything on fire, just in case if something were to happen. I always got this guy. I'm going to go ahead and put my earplugs in and clamp this down. And we got this here. We're going to use a circular sander. We do have a grinder. I just want to be careful I don't tear into this stuff here. So be careful if you do run into this problem. Like I said, it's not a deal breaker. It can still be done. Just more of a hassle than anything, but I haven't done this in a couple years, so it's not the end of the world. Go ahead and get this all sanded down. Remember, you're going to have to do this to all 3 of them. So I went ahead and sanded everything down. This little guy here also goes in there. And these are part of the sleeves they're going to need to slide into. So I use those as a reference. I'd sand it down a little bit. Did not use my grinder, but I would sand it down like that, and I'd spin it around. As long as that moves around like this, it will work. I did my last one like that, and that wick was been in there for a good couple years now. So I used my circular sander, but she's ready to go now. We're gonna put this thing together. All right, so everything fits in here like that. All three of them fit in there just nice. You can see it has an arrow pointing up, so it will tell you what way has to be up here. And then we're gonna fit everything in the little slots right down in here. Alrighty, so we got everything put on there, everything lined up the way it should. It did take a little finagling, if you will, lack of better terms, to get all three of these lined up and get this metal sleeve lined up, but once you get past that point, not that difficult. So I would recommend this here is the bottom. I would recommend starting with the bottom will be your easiest bet to get everything to line up. Just a little finagling and you'll be good to go. So that's what it looks like, and we're going to slide this right over top of this guy right here. There we go. We're going to slide it right over top of here, and everything will slide down. And once you get to this point, we're going to go ahead and test it, but I would recommend just making sure the wick does go up and down, because you would hate to get everything put together and have to tear it back apart, especially after you put the kerosene in there. So make sure you test it out and everything fits, and we're going to go ahead and do that now. Everything's fitting on there quite nicely. Slide this down far as you can and go ahead and turn it like this, and that'll help bring everything down just a little bit better. And we can go ahead and line it up from this down here. And if you're not quite sure how to line everything back up of what way you took it off, a good rule of thumb, see, here's a little picture of the batteries. Your batteries go right here, so that'll help you. If you don't have that, you can simply take a marker and make yourself a little line, and just make yourself a line in here, so that way you have an indicator where it was before you took it off. All right, so here's the new wick, brand new wick in. I have not put any kerosene in yet, but we went ahead and put these guys on. We checked our rubber seal. Everything's good underneath there. And everything's back in, lined up with that. Everything goes up like it should. So I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back together. All right, got that all put back together. We can go ahead and, all our wing nuts are tightened. Rather double check them now than later. Go ahead and, actually, a good rule of thumb always when you're doing this stuff is take a few pictures, so that way you can go back and double check everything and make sure everything's getting put back together the way it needs to be. Okay, there we go. A little bit smaller ones. 1, 2, 3. I always like to go ahead and finger tighten everything instead of just cranking one down. If you do that, you find out very fast, it makes it harder to tighten everything else up. You'll get everything else lined up. So now I got everything in here. Alright, everything looks good. Remove this guy here. It'll slide right over just like this. Make sure we line that up. Got everything lined up. Make sure we got these spots lined up. Perfect. Alright. So we're almost there. So then we'll puppy dogs are barking. Alright. Crank that one down. Crank this down here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the top on, put my solder on and all that good stuff, and we're going to fill it up and see what we have. Alright, this little guy here, you will slide these into here. The plate, this goes in the front, locks these in here. This is your top piece, goes back behind it. What's this here is threaded. The screw will go directly into that. So that's how you put that together. Alright, everything's put together. As you can see, it's burning quite nicely. Just rather be safe than careful. Have this guy right here next to me. And we'll get a little bit of a close-up. Everything's burning nice. Everything's doing what it should. So, even though we ran into some problems, don't let that stop you. It might slow down progress a little bit, if you will, but part of doing stuff like this is learning, so make sure you're just being safe and careful, all of that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and actually shut this down because I have another kerosene heater running. I'd recommend getting 2 of them if you can, especially you can find them during the summertime. I mean, it's 85, 95 degrees out. Nobody's really thinking about these a whole lot. And I think this one here costs about $35. This one here costs about $40. This one I got online. And this one, the other one I got at a estate sale. So you can find them pretty much anywhere. So thanks for watching. As always, peace out and God bless YouTube land. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. And subscribe as well. Have a wonderful day.